The kitchen still smelled of cinnamon from the overnight oats Naomi Sinclair had prepped at 5 a.m., but the aroma did nothing to soften the sharp edges of the morning. A spring sun rose through the blinds in militant slats, striping the farmhouse table the way time had striped her life, bright promises separated by long, pale silences. Naomi slid a plate in front of her husband, Ethan, a stack of fluffy plantain pancakes drizzled with agave and lime zest, and waited, half smiling, for the ritual thanks. It never came. Ethan scrolled through his phone, thumbs darting like minnows. "Dow's down another 0.5%, he muttered, never lifting his eyes. A news ticker reflected across his glasses. Who is the ghost behind this viral manifesto? The universe was calling her name. Her own living room stayed deaf. 16-year-old Avery drifted in wearing headphones so large they looked like a private orbit. "Mom, did you finish my college essay edit?" Mr. Collins said if I don't submit by noon I'm toast. I tightened the narrative arc, swapped passive verbs, and trimmed 120 words, Naomi said, pouring coffee. She'd proofread it at dawn, after ghostwriting a senator's fiery op-ed on family values. Avery smirked. "Hope you deleted the fairy tale fluff. Admissions officers hate flowery stuff." "You'd be shocked at what people love," Naomi thought, picturing her analytics dashboard upstairs, 12 million impressions overnight. She had turned metaphor into currency while her own family counted calories. The TV droned on. Ethan lowered the volume just as the chirn flashed silent architects. "You and your mystery novels," he said, misreading her arrested stare. "Don't worry, we'll get you a book club when the nest's empty." The doorbell rang. Ethan's mother, Marjorie, swept in, perfumed with lavender and unsolicited advice. "Someone forgot trash pickup," she trilled. "Naomi, dear, you're home all day. The little things matter." Avery giggled behind her phone. Ethan pretended to be deep in email. Naomi inhaled, exhaled, inhaled again. She wanted to mention the Bloomberg segment quoting her work, but the words lodged like ash. Avery pocketed pancakes and bolted. Ethan kissed Naomi's cheek, lukewarm. When the house emptied, she unlocked her phone and scrolled to a tag she'd birthed at 2 a.m., #Second Pen Revolution, still climbing. One day, she whispered to the empty room, "You'll all clear your plates." At 9 a.m. sharp, Naomi climbed to the attic, each creak a syllable in the sentence of her secret life. The ordinary door opened onto an altar of anonymity, brushed steel desk, twin 34-inch monitors, LED lights cycling through moods she never voiced aloud. A fingerprint unlocked Wave Rider, a portal few on Earth even knew existed. Avatars pulsed, Atlas Politico, Fortune Quill, Royal Raven, Green Baroness, Monarch Nebula. Metrics flowed, 4.2 M reads, 380k shares, sentiment plus 87%. A chat bubble blinked. Need 900 words on climate tariffs, urgent optimism, one Breen Brown quote. Deadline noon, Brussels. Draft in 30. Invoice later. An encrypted call flashed. Julian Crane, billionaire investor, appeared against a Tokyo sunrise. "Naomi, that leadership thread you posted? CNBC just offered me a weekly segment." "You're sorcery." "I'm vocabulary," she corrected. He laughed. "People crave transparency. How long until you step into the sun? Mystique sells legends, Julian. Transparency sells tabloids. Call over." She opened the essay drafts folder. Silent Architects, version 18, waited. She deleted a too personal paragraph and typed, "Power whispers until the microphone breaks." Send. Downstairs, the door slammed. "Ethan, thermos forgotten." Naomi toggled to a coupon site decoy, pasted on her best domestic smile. "Need anything from Trader Joe's? Almond butter and those sesame crackers." He left none the wiser. Her phone buzzed, pre-orders 51,302. A second ping, double rate offer for an AI ethics essay. She accepted, then opened a fresh file titled Coffee and Credentials, her secret memoir. Above the cursor she wrote, History belongs to those who sign their own pages. Dinner was taco night, Ethan's proof the family still bonded. Naomi plated black bean tacos, arranging lime wedges with editorial precision, learned ghostwriting a chef's memoir. I read an article, she ventured, about decentralized energy grids. Mark Benton covered that on TV, Ethan said. Brilliant guy. Naomi's jaw tightened. I wrote Benton's talking points. Even the solar panel joke Ethan now repeated was hers. Avery glanced up from TikTok. Mom, he has 2 million followers. Maybe you should listen. I do, Naomi said softly. An awkward silence pulled. Ethan tried a peace offering. If you want to be published, start a blog. Hobby writing's therapeutic. Writing isn't my hobby. Notification, TEDx highlights, up next. Naomi recognized the thumbnail, the entrepreneur whose speech she'd architected word for word. She fetched salsa, code for breathe so you don't scream. Back at the table, Avery asked, Mom, what did you do before becoming, homemaker-in-chief? I still do things, Naomi said. Yeah, like volunteer committees, Avery replied sweetly. Ethan's phone buzzed and he stepped outside. Naomi folded her hands. Imagine a chair nobody sees. You can't point to it, yet when you sit, it holds you. Writers are like that, silent supports. Sounds lonely, Avery murmured. Sometimes the best view is from the wings. On the TV, her solar joke triggered audience laughter. Pride and invisibility tangled like wires in her chest. That night, long after dishes were done, she answered a fan email meant for the entrepreneur, proud of you. Keep building grids no one sees. Then she wrote in her notebook, the louder they get, the quieter I must stay, until the reveal. 12:07 a.m. Naomi curled on the sofa, laptop glowing. Stage lights ignited on screen, the entrepreneur strode out in a suit the color of new steel. Her cadence, her crafted emotional pivots, spilled from his mouth like a borrowed heartbeat. He reached the climax, an anecdote about a Kenyan school powered by recycled wind. Gasps and applause followed every punctuation mark she'd placed. Naomi tasted rust, pride would have been easier. Her phone buzzed, Agent Marichin. Netflix sniffing around. Anonymous protagonist docu-series. Interested? A second buzz, UN officials praising her climate thread, unaware she was in the alias group chat. Naomi muted them all. On screen, the closer hit, change doesn't knock, it drafts blueprints in silence. Standing ovation. He bowed, owning thunder not meant for him. One day, she whispered, I won't need them to speak for me. Rain rattled the roof. Naomi opened a blank document, titled its speech, for me, and wrote, I handed the world my voice so it could teach me its volume. Tonight, I reclaim the echo. She wrote until dawn painted the horizon gold. Lightning flashed, she imagined herself on a stage the size of a football field, strangers waiting to hear the original voice. Terror and thrill fused into resolve. Avery's new TikTok mocked parents who think journaling is a job. It already had 70,000 views. Naomi saved it to a folder marked before and after, raw footage for a future montage. Another bank notification, overnight royalties, more than Ethan's quarterly bonus. Money wasn't the motive, but it built sturdy runways. Naomi removed a family photo from the mantel, studied her polite smile, and tapped the picture face down in a drawer. Tomorrow she'd book a portrait session, center frame. 7 hours later Naomi reheated yesterday's coffee, replaying the night like a clandestine trailer only she had tickets to. Avery raced through for drama club cash. Consider it an advance on your first bestseller, Naomi quipped, handing over her card. Avery laughed, thinking it a joke, Naomi knew it prophecy. Ethan tied his slate shirt. Big projections meeting, wish me luck. Break legs, she said, deliberately theatrical. When the house cleared, her phone lit, Marichin. Blackstone Horizon wants silent architects, world rights, 7-figure advance, film option, keynote at Davos if you unmask within 6 months. Creative control? Yours. Cover design negotiable. Yes, on my terms, and I own the derivatives. Carved in stone. Oh, CNN wants the exclusive reveal Sunday at 8 p.m. They'll send a car. Sunday? That's 4 days. The news cycle is hungry, feed it before someone plagiarizes. Voicemail from a blocked number, Julian Crane, CNN sniffing around. If it's you, congrats. Call me, I want in. Naomi blocked off Sunday, July 9 p.m. with 2 words, change clothes. She drafted an email to her publicist. Dinner reveal at home. Ensure CNN segment embargo until 8 p.m. Prep talking points in case family meltdown goes viral. Contract PDF arrived. She e-signed Naomi Sinclair. Seeing her name under author felt like stepping onto a stage she'd built brick by secret brick. Saturday blurred into clandestine logistics. A stylist supplied a cobalt blue dress that commanded cameras without shouting. The town's indie bookstore owner whispered he'd read The Galley, whoever wrote it distilled a generation soul. Naomi signed the vendor form before her smile betrayed the truth. That evening she rehearsed CNN bullet points, personal stakes, universal themes, practical hope, until her cadence felt like music. Night fell. Naomi stood barefoot in the yard, dew on her feet, staring at indifferent stars. Tomorrow, she whispered, I sign my own pages. The neighbor's dog barked as if seconding the motion. Inside, she pinned the cobalt dress on a mannequin, stuck a note on the glass door, and no more invisible chairs. Below, she penciled the pre-order tally, 82,019. Sleep found her fast. Outside, clouds parted and a shy moon slipped through, laying a silver path across her quilt, an invitation to tomorrow's spotlight. When the real storm hit, Naomi Sinclair wouldn't reach for an umbrella. She was the thunder. Sunday dawned peach pink over the Sinclair house, but the quiet felt brittle, like porcelain under strain. Naomi padded into the kitchen at 6:30 a.m., careful not to wake anyone. The cobalt dress, steamed and flawless, hung on the pantry door, a watchful omen. She set the table exactly as she had every Sunday for 11 years, newspaper folded to Ethan's finance section, Avery's green smoothie pre-blended, Marjorie's wheat-free scone on the side plate. Routine wrapped like gauze around a wound she would expose in 13 hours. Coffee hissed. As it brewed, Naomi's phone chimed, CNN morning brief, top headlines. Bullet 3 read, anonymous author of Silent Architects to be revealed live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Her pulse sped. No name yet, embargo holding. Good. Avery wandered in, bleary. Morning. She yanked a mug from the cupboard, sloshing half a ladle of sugar into her cup. Naomi cleared her throat. Big day ahead? Group project. Avery scrolled TikTok. A trending duet played, a senator reciting lines Naomi had written, stitched against a reaction meme. Avery laughed. People will parody anything. Naomi forced a smile. Apparently. Ethan entered, Bluetooth in one ear. Marjorie's coming back for brunch. She thinks we should sign up for the neighborhood improvement board. He glanced at the TV as Naomi flicked it on, standard background noise. A CNN anchor read from a teleprompter, power once spoke in marble halls, now it tweets and trends, writes the anonymous author shaking Capitol Hill. Behind the anchor, Naomi's words scrolled in white on crimson. Avery slurped smoothie. Ethan buttered toast. Neither reacted. Naomi listened to her own sentence echo through the room like a ghost refusing exorcism. Marjorie arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, lavender in tow. She frowned at the anchor. Is this more of that manifesto nonsense? The author clearly wants attention. Naomi bit into a scone. Almond and irony mingled on her tongue. Avery asked Marjorie about college Rex. Ethan took another call. The segment ended, nobody spoke of it again. Radio silence, literal and figurative, hung over the rest of breakfast, broken only by the tick of the wall clock counting down to 8. For hours later, Naomi drove downtown to Bright Leaves Books, her sanctuary of cedar shelves and dust-mote sunbeams. A fluorescent author signing, Retrograde Dreams with J.R. Haven, Today poster covered the window. Naomi had written 40% of that memoir. She chuckled at the irony, ghost meeting host. Inside, among first edition Faulkners and bargain romances, stood Jonathan J.R. Haven himself, ex-client, ex-rockstar, current mindfulness guru. Gray streaked his beard, amethyst beads clicked on his wrist as he reached for her. Naomi Sinclair, he breathed, hugging her. Or should I say Phantom Queen? Keep it down. She pressed a finger to her lips. He guided her to the back cafe. I owe you everything, he whispered over chamomile. Your words rebuilt my career. And you turned them into revenue. Symbiosis. He leaned in. Rumor mill says tonight the ghost unmasks. Is it really you? Her smile was a zipper, opening just enough. Hypothetically, if a woman tired of invisibility wanted the mic, would the world listen? Would it? You'll detonate culture. But remember, spotlights warm faces and melt wax wings. Naomi pictured Avery's TikTok mocks, Ethan's distracted nods, Marjorie's lavender criticisms. Maybe it's time to test my feathers. Haven lifted his tea. To the day no one writes over your name. Naomi clinked his cup. Her phone buzzed, Marichin, car confirmed for 6 p.m. hair/makeup en route. Under it, a text from Julian Crane, investors scrambling, silent author rumored female. If it's you, say the word and we leverage a fund. She silenced the phone and inhaled the earthy perfume of old paper. A customer asked Haven to sign Retrograde Dreams. Naomi watched him pen a flourish under a title that was half hers. As she left, Haven called, whatever happens, write your own damn encore. Naomi stepped into sunlight, ghost no more, just a woman on the cusp of existence. Back home at 3 p.m., Naomi heard Avery laughing in her room. She followed the sound, door ajar, catching her daughter recording a TikTok. Avery, half-influencer voice, POV, moms who think journaling is a career. She mimed typing dramatically, then held up a mug reading world's okayest writer. Her friend Jess piped in via split screen, using Naomi's exact manifesto line, power whispers until the microphone breaks. Jess rolled her eyes, Avery fake yawned. Naomi's cheeks flamed. The very sentence that would announce her tonight had been downgraded to punchline. She knocked. Hey, can we chat? Avery muted the phone. It's just a joke, Mom. A joke built on words she stopped. Not yet. Words someone worked hard on. Avery shrugged. Internet's fair game. If people post, people roast. Naomi sat on the bed. You know I edit for real clients, right? Those words feed us. Editing's cool, Avery conceded, but it's not like you're that anonymous author everyone's losing their mind over. She chuckled. Imagine if it were you, Grandma would combust. Imagine, Naomi echoed, voice steadying on steel. Would you be proud or embarrassed? Avery considered. Proud, duh. Views would skyrocket. She winked. Clout by association. Something slid into place inside Naomi, an audible click of destiny aligning. Dinner at 7:30, she said, rising. Wear something nice. Why? It's just us. Maybe not just us. Naomi closed the door on Avery's puzzled frown. Downstairs, she printed the CNN segment agenda, folded it into the napkin drawer. Her phone dinged, a push alert, a TikTok mocking stay-at-home moms quotes silent architects verbatim. 200K likes in an hour. Naomi chuckled. Tonight the algorithm would feast on irony. 4:45 p.m. A black SUV idled at the curb. Makeup artist Dara and stylist Reed swept in like a two-person storm front. Marjorie popped out of the living room chair, aghast at the garment bag. What's this? Naomi, are you in a pageant? Small on-camera thing, Naomi said lightly. Dara laid out palettes. Reed unveiled the cobalt dress. Marjorie's eyes widened. Television? You? Naomi met the older woman's stare. Me. Upstairs, lights, brushes, curling iron, transformation. Dara smoothed foundation. You have public figure bone structure, she murmured. All angles that say pay attention. Naomi laughed. It's been trying to speak for years. Micromic taped behind her collar. Reed zipped the dress. Naomi turned to the mirror. Gone was the invisible chair, here stood the architect herself, shoulders squared, lips that had surrendered too many words now painted command red. Downstairs, Ethan arrived home to chaos. What's with the glam squad? Naomi stepped out. He blinked. You look incredible. Where are you off to? An interview. About what? My work. Ethan frowned. But. It's time you hear me, Ethan. Tonight, listen. Reed gestured. Cars waiting. Naomi breezed toward the door, heels clicking like punctuation. Marjorie clutched the back of a chair. At least be home for dinner. Count on it, Naomi said. Make sure the TV's on at 8. The SUV swallowed her. Inside, Marachin joined via tablet. Studios pre-lit. 10-minute segment. Anchor will intro with book montage, then your reveal. Let's do it. Traffic blurred. Naomi practiced breathing, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4. At the studio, producers briefed her. Green room monitors ran B-roll of silent architects' protests outside DC. Naomi's stomach fluttered, nervous butterflies training for marathon flight. Mic check. Countdown. She walked onto the minimalist set, LED backdrop rotating headlines she'd secretly authored. Anchor Julia Moreno smiled. Good evening. For months the world has asked, who is the voice behind silent architects? Tonight, we have the answer. She turned to Naomi. Thank you for trusting us. Naomi smiled back. Thank you for lending me your microphone, finally under my own name. Let's show them. Camera zoom. Nameplate appeared, Naomi Sinclair, author, Silent Architects. Red tally light blinked. Naomi spoke the opening line she had rehearsed beneath midnight rain. For years I drafted blueprints for other people's dreams. Tonight, I submit my own building permit. 10 minutes flew, policy talk, feminism, family dynamics. Final question, why stay anonymous so long? Because walls don't collapse from a whisper. They crumble when the whisper becomes a chorus, Naomi said. Tonight, I invite everyone who's ever felt invisible to raise their voices, together. Standing ovation from the crew. Stream chat exploded in real time. She did that, my new hero. Segment scheduled to air in 3 hours, 8 p.m. Producer unhooked her mic. You just blew up the internet, and it hasn't even aired. Naomi breathed deep. Wait till dinner. Back home by 6:45 p.m. Naomi lit vanilla candles, set the table with the heirloom china Marjorie claimed too formal for every day. Roast chicken crisped in the oven, rosemary perfuming the air. A Bluetooth speaker played low jazz, masking the quiet tremor in her hands. 7:15 p.m. Ethan changed out of work clothes, hovering. Can I do anything? Pour the wine at 7:58. He glanced at the clock, perplexed. Marjorie arrived in pearls, suspicion coiled tight. Avery wore a sparkly top, still unsure why. Phones deposited in a wicker basket, Naomi insisted on family focus. 7:59 p.m. Dinner served. Naomi sat opposite the TV, remote discreetly angled her way. Marjorie cut into chicken. Smells divine. She gestured at Naomi's untouched plate. You're not eating? I'm saving room. Ethan raised his glass. To family Sundays. Naomi clinked. To listening. 8 p.m. sharp. Naomi clicked mute off. CNN intro music swelled. Ethan sighed. News during dinner? Avery rolled eyes. Marjorie pursed lips. Anchor Julia Moreno appeared. Tonight's top story, the voice behind the manifesto, meet the woman changing the world. Ethan's fork paused. Cut to pre-recorded reveal. Camera pan to studio guest, Naomi in cobalt, nameplate bold. A fork clattered. Avery gasped. Marjorie's jaw slackened. Ethan whispered, "That's you." On-screen Naomi said, "I handed the world my voice so it could teach me its volume. Tonight, I reclaim the echo." Real-time Naomi watched her family watch her. Their expressions shifted, confusion to realization to awe. Avery whispered, "Mom?" "Yes." "You wrote Silent Architects?" Naomi nodded. Ethan rubbed his temples. "All those late nights, the money transfers, you weren't coupon blogging." "No. I was building cathedrals in quiet." Marjorie's eyes shimmered, whether pride or mortification Naomi couldn't tell. "Why didn't you tell us?" "You weren't listening," Naomi said simply. She stood, chair legs scraping like a final edit. "Excuse me, my publicist is calling." She retrieved her phone, notifications flooded, cover offers, podcast requests, a blue-check DM from Breen Brown, "Let's talk sisterhood." Behind her, CNN showed montage, senators quoting her lines, protests chanting her chapters, entrepreneurs tattooing her motto. Avery replayed the segment on loop, tears mixing with mascara. Ethan stared at the mute screen where the woman he'd underestimated filled every pixel. Everything familiar, plate, wine, wife, had shifted a few centimeters left, enough to make the room unrecognizable. Naomi answered Mara's call. "You just shattered Twitter," Mara said. "Trending #1 in 12 countries." Naomi smiled into the hallway mirror, candlelight flickering over the face the world finally saw. "Good. Let them find their microphones." She hung up, squared her shoulders, and walked back to the dining room where the story of Naomi Sinclair, author, architect, thunder, had only just begun. The room felt split between two worlds, one where chicken cooled on china and another where Naomi Sinclair's face beamed from a 65-inch screen. CNN's Chiron pulsed live, author of Silent Architects revealed. A producer's countdown echoed through the speakers, 5, 4, 3, before Julia Moreno reappeared. We now break for instant reaction from Capitol Hill. Cut to Senator Raquel Myers on the Senate steps. Naomi Sinclair's work reframes policy for a new century. "I plan to invite her to testify." Back in the dining room Marjorie gasped, hand to pearls. Avery's phone blew up so loudly Naomi could hear the vibration from the hall. "Jess, your mom's on CNN?" "Kyle, bro, Mrs. Sinclair is that author?" "Drama Club group chat, hire her for our scripts lol." Naomi muted the ringtones, slipping the phone into her palm like a newly discovered superpower. On-screen political analyst Stuart Wells threw fuel on the fire. "She's the most influential thinker no one saw coming, working from a suburban kitchen." Ethan's knuckles tightened around his wineglass. "They're parading our address right now?" "No," Naomi soothed. "The producers promised anonymity on location. But the paparazzi will come. Let them. They'll only find a woman doing dishes between world-changing essays." CNN cut again, this time to a street protest in Sao Paulo, activists waving placards printed with Naomi's manifesto lines. A young woman shouted into a megaphone, "Obrigada, Naomi." Avery whispered, "Mom, people in Brazil know your name," eclipsing sarcasm for the first time. Naomi smiled softly. "Words travel without visas." 8:05 ticked to 8:10, the segment looped. By 8:15 hashtag Naomi Sinclair trended above hashtag NBA Finals. The doorbell rang, 3 rapid chimes. Ethan peered through the side window, 2 local reporters, camera ready. He swore under his breath. Naomi exhaled. Showtime at home. She squared her shoulders, opened the door, and gave the same calm line she'd practiced for moments exactly like this. I'll issue a statement at 9. Thank you for respecting my neighbors. The cameraman, taken aback by her composure, lowered his rig. Of course, Ms. Sinclair. Congratulations. When she shut the door, Marjorie whispered, Did you just manage the media? Naomi collected the reporter's business cards like confetti. I've been managing bigger egos than theirs for a decade. She glanced at the untouched plates. Let's eat before the chicken's cold, or the internet breaks again. Forks finally moved, but conversation remained hushed. In the hush, Naomi heard a new sound, respect stretching its wings. At 8:45 p.m., CNN broadcast a montage set against swelling strings. Naomi's childhood photo, gap-toothed grin, hand-clutching a library card, faded into high-resolution shots from her reveal. Voiceover, from rural Georgia to global stage, Naomi Sinclair wrote quietly for presidents, tech giants, and royalty until tonight. Marjorie dabbed her eyes. You were 9 in that picture. You told me you'd be an author someday. Naomi squeezed her hand. I remembered. Clips rolled, Senators Myers and Delgado quoting silent architects in floor debates, Elon Mendez reading her line about data dignity to a cheering crowd, a Kenyan teacher explaining how Naomi's chapter on microgrids inspired their solar classroom. Ethan whispered, I never imagined. That was the problem, Naomi answered, though her tone carried no venom, just fact, catalogued and shelved. The montage shifted to critics, a pundit calling her too radical, a CEO claiming ghostwriters owed loyalty. Then Julia Moreno's voice cut through, love her or fear her, Naomi Sinclair has arrived, and the world is listening. Avery's eyes shimmered. You wrote things that changed real people's lives. Why didn't you brag? Impact is louder than bragging, Naomi said. But silence can become erasure. Tonight I found volume. Her phone chimed again. The Atlantic requested a 2,000-word op-ed, Netflix offered documentary rights, Reese Witherspoon's book club wanted an exclusive Q&A. Marjorie read over her shoulder. Child, your inbox looks like Christmas and the 4th of July collided. Naomi laughed. We'll need a new filing system. The montage ended with a still shot, Naomi looking directly into the camera, eyes clear, shoulders back, cobalt dress gleaming like polished sky. Underneath, Naomi Sinclair, architect of tomorrow. Ethan pushed his chair away, rubbing his temples. The world wants you. Where does that leave us? In my corner, I hope, Naomi said gently. But I can't stand in shadows so you feel taller. Avery reached across the table, entwining fingers with her mother's. I'm sorry for the TikToks. I didn't know I was mocking you. You are echoing a culture that mocks women who dare to be more, Naomi replied, squeezing back. But we write new cultures. By 10 p.m. the reporters had multiplied, 5 vans idling outside, antennae blinking like curious insects. Naomi stood on the porch, issued a concise statement, I encourage everyone to read Silent Architects before forming opinions, and promised a full press conference at noon tomorrow in the town library. Inside, Ethan paced. Press conferences? Senators? You didn't ease us in. Naomi folded the dress into its garment bag. I eased the world in for 10 years. My turn arrived. He stopped pacing. I feel blindsided. Because you never asked what filled my nights, she said softly. He swallowed. What do you need from me? Respect. Partnership, not permission. He nodded, tears bright. I can do respect. He hesitated. I was jealous. You were building meaning while I chased quarterly targets. She cupped his cheek. Meaning doesn't have to compete with money. But your first task is to listen without defense. I will. A knock interrupted them. Avery in pajamas, eyes red. Mom, can we talk privately? They sat on Naomi's bed, the hush of muffled camera shutters leaking through curtains. Avery fiddled with her bracelet. People idolize you. That's amazing. But, are we okay? Will you still help with my essay? Naomi laughed, tears breaking free. Sweetheart, I'll always help. But tonight I need you to help me to understand that a woman's ambition isn't a threat, it's a blueprint. Avery nodded. Teach me. Naomi pulled her laptop over, opened Wave Writer. First lesson, words build worlds. Want to see the foundation? For the next hour she scrolled through drafts, redline notes from presidents, midnight timestamps. Avery's jaw dropped at comments from global leaders. You wrote all this? And more you'll never see, NDA life. Avery grinned. I think I found my major, political communication. Naomi kissed her forehead. Design your own architecture. Downstairs Ethan drafted a LinkedIn post, proud of my wife, Naomi Sinclair, whose words inspired us all tonight. Time to step up and support powerful voices. He paused before posting, then added, starting with listening. Monday, 6 a.m. Naomi flew to New York on a private jet courtesy of Blackstone Horizon. Marjorie offered to stay with Avery, waving like a matriarch seeing her general off to war. On board, Naomi reviewed notes for her meeting with the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Celia Porter. The plane descended over Manhattan, sunrise glittering off glass towers, cathedrals of ambition. She would now enter by the front door. At 9 a.m. sharp, Naomi stepped into the Atlantic's marble lobby. Celia met her in person, no assistant buffer. Ms. Sinclair, Celia said, shaking her hand, you detonated my inbox. Naomi smiled. Shall we discuss controlled demolition? Celia laughed. They walked past framed covers, Civil War to COVID. Your byline will sit among giants, Celia said. Op-ed Friday. Anything you want. Topic, invisible labor as the backbone of democracy. Perfect. Celia slid a glossy contract across the table, rate triple the usual. Naomi signed, handwriting steady as bedrock. Outside, photographers flashed. A street busker strummed a guitar, singing her line, power whispers until the microphone breaks. Tourists joined in like it was a decades-old anthem. Naomi tucked a $100 bill into the guitar case. At 11 a.m. she breezed into a midtown studio for MSNBC. Host Caleb DeWitt bowed theatrically. The architect herself. Segment producers handed her an earpiece. A mic tech whispered, my mom cried last night watching you. Live on air Naomi explained how ghostwriters are the marrow of public discourse yet treated like ghosts. Twitter clipped the quote within minutes, retweets rocketed. Between studios, Mara texted, we're fielding TED Mainstage invites, a Harvard fellowship, and Vogue wants a cover. Naomi typed back, slow drip. Scarcity fuels value. By late afternoon she was whisked to Blackstone Horizon's skyscraper. CEO Lila Desai greeted her with a handshake and a grin. Your book's first print, 500,000 copies, starts tonight. In a glass conference room they planned the global tour, Lagos, London, Sao Paulo, Mumbai. Naomi insisted on free student tickets at every stop. Lila raised a toast. To writing the future. Champagne fizzed like static in Naomi's ears. A year ago she hid invoices in decorative folders, today she negotiated stage specs with billion-dollar firms. From the window she watched taxis thread through Broadway traffic, stories moving, honking, hustling, and felt strangely at peace, as if all the years of whispering had condensed into one perfect shout. The next 48 hours were blur and blaze. A TikTok supercut titled From Mom Next Door to Global Oracle racked up 23 million views in a day. Clip spliced her CNN reveal with Avery's tearful apology over a trap beat that somehow made gravitas danceable. Memes sprouted, Naomi holding a pen equals the Avengers Infinity Gauntlet, Naomi photoshopped onto Rosie the Riveter. Hashtags hashtag Sinclair effect and hashtag architect army ballooned. BuzzFeed posted 15 times Naomi Sinclair dragged the patriarchy with one sentence. Number 7, walls don't collapse from a whisper. They crumble when the whisper becomes a chorus, became merch on Redbubble before lunch. Ethan forwarded Naomi a corporate email, FYI board wants you to keynote our leadership retreat. She replied, happy to honorarium donated to girls' literacy. Ethan responded with a gif of Dwayne Johnson raising one impressed eyebrow. Meanwhile, Avery uploaded a TikTok titled, I used to roast my mom, then she broke the internet. Shot in shaky bedroom lighting, it told their story in 60 seconds. By dawn it had 2 million likes. Comments flooded in. At STM Queen, your mom just inspired me to patent my app. At Dad on Duty, same dinner table vibes, time to listen. At History Prof 87, Sinclair will be in textbooks. In Georgia, local bakery Sweet Nothings crafted a buttercream iced cake reading power whispers, customers queued around the block. Yet amidst the frenzy Naomi chose stillness one dawn, returning to Bright Leaves Books. Owner Mrs. Kojo hugged her, tears in eyes. The child who loved dictionaries made it big. Naomi asked for a Sharpie and signed every copy of Silent Architects on display. A little girl wearing oversized glasses watched in wonder. Naomi kneeled. Do you like stories? Yes, the girl whispered. Then write them. Don't wait for permission. She slipped the girl her press badge from MSNBC. Proof that libraries become launchpads. That night Naomi read social media sentiment graphs, 92% positive. The 8% negative raged she'd betrayed her clients. She penned a calm thread, I served others until invisibility served no one. Retweets soared. Netflix greenlit Silent No More, the Naomi Sinclair story, attaching Ava DuVernay to direct. In a quiet hotel suite Naomi FaceTimed Avery. Her daughter wore a chorus whisper hoodie. Mom, our principal asked if you'd speak at graduation. Tell her yes. I owe the local stage my first encore. After hanging up, Naomi opened a new document titled Book 2, First Draft. Cursor blinked, patient. She typed. Every revolution starts in a room where someone refuses to be invisible. Lightning split the Manhattan skyline outside. Cameras flashed below her window, but Naomi typed on, the storm outside no match for the one she now commanded, ink, idea, thunder. She pressed save. The file name glowed, Naomi_Sinclair_architect of tomorrow.docs. And somewhere in the digital ether, a million unseen writers felt the ground shift, just enough to believe their own microphones might be waiting, charged, unmuted, ready for the chorus. Tuesday at dawn the Manhattan hotel room glowed slate blue, but Naomi had barely slept. A glass wall looked down on Fifth Avenue like a silent cinema, taxis passed in yellow blurs. Her phone buzzed with a dozen group chats, but one alert froze her at Avery Sinclair. One just posted a new video. She tapped. Avery sat cross-legged on her childhood bed, ring light haloing her braids. Behind her, Naomi's corkboard of outlines and sticky note quotes filled the frame. Hi, Internet. I'm Avery. 3 days ago I roasted moms who journal. That mom was actually the voice behind Silent Architects. I thought words were background noise. Turns out they were earthquakes waiting for the right fault line. So this is me, publicly apologizing and promising to amplify women's voices, starting with the one who raised me. Mom, I'm proud of you. Teach me to write hurricanes. Tears blurred Naomi's screen. She dialed FaceTime, Avery answered instantly. Like the lighting? Avery sniffed, eyes puffy but bright. Perfect. Almost as perfect as the content. Comments already popped faster than confetti, role model family, the arc we needed, someone sign Avery. Avery bit her lip. I was scared. I thought the world would ask why your own daughter didn't believe first. Naomi shook her head. Belief is a sunrise, not a switch. We're here now. A director from Teen Vogue pinged Avery within minutes. Naomi watched Pride eclipse every earlier hurt. Another call, Julian Crane. Naomi answered. Your kid's video just doubled pre-sales in the YA demographic, he crowed. We pivot marketing in 3, 2. Slow drip, Naomi reminded. We steward impact, not ride fireworks. He laughed. Copy that. After they hung up, Naomi opened WaveWriter and added a chapter to book 2. Generation isn't a staircase, it's a chorus, each voice catching the one that falters, rising together until roofs blow off. She saved, whispering, here's to catching each other. Back in Georgia, Ethan stood outside his office, phone glowing with the worst push alert of his career. Leaked group chat exposes jealous husband mocking Naomi Sinclair. Screenshots of him calling the manifesto keyboard therapy plastered Twitter, courtesy of a disgruntled coworker. Inside, HR waited. Ethan, the board is concerned your comments undermine our diversity initiatives. Effective immediately, you're on unpaid leave pending review. He felt the floor tilt. 10 minutes later he sat in his car staring at the company's white and blue logo that used to feel like identity. He called Naomi. She picked up between interviews. I messed up, he said, voice hushed. I let insecurity turn to insult, and now the internet has receipts. Naomi exhaled slowly. She imagined headlines, Sinclair speaks out on misogynist spouse. Instead she said, come to New York. Let's fix this face to face. By midnight Ethan knocked on the suite door, tie gone, eyes red. Naomi let him in, cameras flashed from distant rooftops, but inside it was just 2 people rewriting vows in prose instead of gold bands. Apologize publicly, she instructed. Not performatively, educationally. Show men what accountability looks like. He nodded. And privately? Listen. Every day. To me, to Avery, to voices softer than yours. He knelt, not in grand romance but humble recognition. Teach me. Naomi's hand rested on his head like a blessing. We draft the edit together. At 2 a.m. Ethan tweeted a thread, I aired. Insecure men mock what they fear. Tonight I begin fear lessening. The thread ended, start by reading women. I'll be in the front row. Within hours #LearningWithEthan trended, equal parts ridicule and respect. Naomi watched, thinking, sometimes collapse is construction in disguise. Friday noon, Bright Leaves books buzzed like a hive. A wooden sign read Naomi Sinclair hometown signing, sold out. Locals, journalists, busloads of college students queued around the block. Inside, Mrs. Kojo placed a fountain pen in Naomi's palm, the same pen Naomi had coveted as a broke newlywed. Consider it on loan until you write your Nobel speech, she whispered. Avery served as line manager, stamping wrists with a chorus logo ink. Ethan stood near refreshments, politely redirecting anyone seeking the jealous husband's selfie. Each redirect felt like a penance paid in patience. Mid-signing, a frail teacher approached, clutching a battered copy of Silent Architects printed from a PDF. I teach night school for immigrants, she said. Your chapter on invisible labor restored dignity to my students' stories. Naomi inscribed, thank you for amplifying whispers into choruses. The teacher wept, Naomi hugged her across the table. Cameras clicked, but the moment felt private, a sole contract sealed in ink. Suddenly the crowd parted, Mayor Gutierrez, flanked by aides, stepped forward holding a bronze key. Ms. Sinclair, our town once exported peaches. Now we export paradigm shifts, he said, placing the key in her hand. Library funding has tripled since your reveal. Applause thundered against cedar rafters. Naomi felt the pen grow warm, legacy conducting heat through metal. When the signing ended, she stayed to reshelve stray books, humming. Ethan offered help, she nodded. They worked shoulder to shoulder like librarians after hours, silence no longer empty but comfortable as old paper. Outside the sun dipped rose gold, and Naomi recalled nights she'd driven past this shop dreaming of belonging. The doorway no longer looked like a threshold, it looked like home, stretched wide enough to welcome whomever needed one. A month later Naomi strode onto the TED main stage in Vancouver, no ghost this time, no proxy. Light rigs formed geometric halos overhead, 2,000 attendees rustled like an eager forest. Ethan and Avery sat front row center, fingers intertwined. She wore an ivory jumpsuit, blank page made fabric. A single lapel mic waited. She inhaled, remembering midnight doubts, and began. Buildings rise from blueprints, yet societies expect women to build futures without ever unrolling their designs. She told the attic desk story, the cinnamon mornings, the chair nobody saw. She spliced policy with personal wounds, humor with data. Laughter erupted, then hush, then roaring applause. Halfway through, she paused and summoned Avery on stage. Avery's knees knocked but eyes blazed. "This is the next architect," Naomi said. "Ask not what tomorrow will hand her, ask what scaffolding we erect today." Audience leapt to its feet. Avery whispered, "Mom, I think the roof just lifted." Naomi finished with a mic drop line, "We end the era of ghostwriting destinies. We begin the age of co-authored worlds." The red TED letters dimmed, the ovation lasted minutes. Backstage, Celia Porter hugged Naomi. "Your op-ed crashed our paywall, record subscriptions. Netflix cameras captured every tear, handshake, autograph." In the green room Naomi opened Twitter, TED Talk livestream, 4.8 M concurrent viewers. Ethan texted, "Your echo just became the anthem." She smiled, replying, "Time for the chorus to add verses." Later, at the speaker's dinner, Naomi was seated between Nobel laureates. But she excused herself early, stood on a balcony overlooking the harbor, and called Mrs. Kojo to ask if the corkboard and sticky notes might become a traveling exhibit titled Blueprints of an Architect. She heard the bookseller sob with delight. Stars speckled the Canadian sky, reflecting on water like pages yet to be written. Naomi whispered, "Ready when you are," and the stars seemed to flicker affirmation. The Netflix documentary finale opened with grainy home video, Naomi at 8, reading aloud to stuffed animals, "One day stories will change the world." Then the screen split, left side, those old clips, right side, global headlines, Sinclair addresses UN, silent architects curriculum adopted in 47 countries, PEN Award to Naomi Sinclair. In real time Naomi sat in a private screening with family and close friends. Popcorn bowls stayed untouched as past and present danced. Montage, Ethan in therapy learning unlearning, Avery speaking at youth panels, Marjorie founding a late bloomer writers group titled Pearls of Wisdom. Laughter rippled in the theater when Marjorie on camera declared, "Lavender fades, legacies don't." The film's climax recreated the Sunday dinner reveal, forks hovering, intercut with the global reaction. Footage from Sao Paulo protests, Kenyan classrooms, Seoul hackathons, all chanting her lines in different tongues. Finally, the doc slowed to Naomi standing before a Time magazine cover shoot. The photographer asked for power. Naomi refused the cliché stance and instead unfolded a paper chair, the invisible seat. She sat, looked straight into the lens, and smiled. The frame froze. On-screen text, "Invisible no more." Credits rolled over a choir singing Avery's viral chorus. Lights rose, the audience, friends, senators, janitors who cleaned her attic office, applauded. Naomi wiped tears. Netflix execs approached with numbers, projected 50M households opening weekend. She thanked them, but her eyes were on the small girl from the signing, the one who now sat in the front row wearing an Architect Army t-shirt, cradling a notebook of scribbles. Naomi knelt. "Let me sign that." The girl handed the notebook. Naomi wrote, "To building tall and true, even when no one sees the first brick." Outside the theater flashbulbs burst, but Naomi slowed, letting the girl lead her into the night where fans chanted soft as lullabies. Ethan slipped his hand into hers. Remember when you said one day we'd all clear our plates? She laughed. Turns out we needed bigger plates. Avery looped her arm through Naomi's other side. Mom, Harvard's communication dean emailed me. They want my application. Write hurricanes, Naomi whispered. I'll proofread. They walked toward a press line that looked less like gauntlet and more like invitation. Reporters shouted, but Naomi paused, looked up at the moon, her first midnight confidant, and gave it a nod. Flash. The Netflix cameraman captured that image for the final poster, Naomi, family flanking her, crowd behind them, moon above, a trinity of past, present, possible. Caption, some voices start as whispers, some end as thunder. The lucky ones become light. Back home weeks later, Naomi returned the lone fountain pen to Mrs. Kojo. Instead of taking it, the bookseller pointed at a glass case. There, on velvet, sat the pen alongside Naomi's first scribbled notebook and the infamous cobalt dress, blueprints exhibit, opening day. Naomi pressed a hand to the glass. A tour group of middle school girls gasped. One asked, Ms. Sinclair, how did you know the world would listen? She turned, knees meeting curious eyes. I didn't, she said. I just refused to stay silent. The girls scribbled that line like prophecy. Naomi stepped back, watching them copy her words. Paper rustled, a chorus beginning. She smiled. Let the microphones multiply, she thought, and walked out into a sunny afternoon that felt wider than any stage, louder than any applause, perfect for new chapters she hadn't dared imagine, yet. The end.